It has.
Yeah.
It's been forever.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, but I'm happy to be back with you guys.
Yes.
And today's episode is called So About These Goals. I don't know exactly where this conversation is going to lead, but you know what I do know? That Lauren is going to start it out.
Sure am. No, just a little backstory about how we even came up to, the point of us talking about this particular episode is like, of course, we do our normal thing. What we talk about today, y'all. And in that instance, I just really begin to kind of reflect on the fact that my process right now, my focus right now, my readjusting or renewing of my mind. I hear Ayana when I say that you have to renew your mind, but I like my renewing of my mind right now. And all of it is the purpose of accomplishing some goals. And some goals are old and some goals are new. But it took me a long process to kind of understand that when you are attempting to achieve a goal, there are other things that has to change in order for the goal to be achieved. You can't continue doing the same thing thinking you're going to get to a new goal. So it took me a process to kind of learn that, or to kind of come to that realization, a hard realization. And so I wanted to talk about that today. I wanted to talk about the fact of so about these goals. I know, with us just being good girlfriends, I know we all got different goals that we're going after right now. And I just kind of want us to have an honest conversation about them and our process about it. And some things we're changing, some things we recognize that we're not successful in our process. So yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess I'll kick it off. I feel like I'm gonna go first because I feel like I don't know what y'all gonna say, so I'm gonna just slide this on in here. I don't feel like I've been very successful at achieving goals this year, and I think that for the first time in a very long time, I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm okay with that because, some of the goals I have, I feel like this year I wanted to write a book. I wanted to start, I think I talked to you guys a couple of times about wanting to have a product-based business. There were certain things that I'm like, oh, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And I think that it's pretty late in the year and haven't done any of those things. But I feel like I am more emotionally mature, which was not a goal for this year, but it's something that, I feel like I've garnered throughout the year. And so I feel like even though I'm not meeting the goals that I want to meet, I am achieving some things that are needed potentially to achieve those goals in the future. And I feel like for me, usually when I have a goal, my process is to write them down and then work towards them each month. And I just haven't done that this year. I have not.
I feel you. I definitely everything you said. I feel you. Because our last episode, I forgot exactly the topic because it's been a few weeks, but we were talking about how life has been lifing and things just haven't been going the way we wanted it to go. And I feel
it was called not today, Jesus.
Not today, Jesus. Yes. And
the crazy part, we literally was not this month, Jesus, but but whatever. But we back. Yeah. We back, y'all.
But yeah, so I know for me, because we talked about this at the beginning of the year that we really didn't. I know, Sade, you said you didn't write down any goals. And I feel like it was sort of consistent with us. We kind of had things that we were working on or whatever. But I know for me, it was certain things that I wanted to achieve and I had expectations and it just didn't work out that way. It was certain hiccups and whatnot. And I'm just I think the biggest thing that I've been able to be consistent with is me working out. So I'm like, oh, cool, consistency. Amen, Jesus. I can move that over into other things. But outside of that, it's just me really taking it day by day. I'm learning that, especially being a mom now, things are different. And I can't move the way I moved, let's say, with one child or no children. So now that it's two, and two that are very active and two that are very active and we have so many things going on with them, I've had to learn that.
Yes, because Nova's walking.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nova
is walking. She was a late bloomer, but she's walking. But I've had to learn that it's okay. It's okay if you shelf some things for now. It's okay if, you just take things bite size. Like this week, I still like I've been inconsistent using my planner all year, but this week I was like, okay, well, the past few weeks I've been using my planner. But this week in particular, like I would just write down little things that I wanted to accomplish each day outside of different things that was doing with them. And today I was looking at it and I was like, I'm proud that I was actually able to do everything that I had on my to-do list for this week. And I'm okay with that, because it took a little piece out of, I can roll it over into next week. Like one thing that I've been wanting to do was create a content calendar for the hair raiser. Okay, I did it. I have some type of schedule going. I didn't stick with the schedule this week because things, children and things happen, but boom, next week I can take a bite at that content calendar and then just go from there and not beat up on myself that the fact that I wasn't able to do everything that I thought I could, just taking, bite-sized goals, at the time. So that's where I'm at.
I think I don't think it was this year. Maybe it was the beginning of 2021 where we like kind of said like a word, and I remember saying like, "Oh, my word is going to be discipline," and I'm trying to be disciplined this year, which obviously didn't happen. But like similar to you, Ayana, and I love that our watches kind of like go off around the same time. So I actually sat down with my friends and I was like, "Y'all, I'm getting heavy. Like I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I feel. I got to drop some weight." And I was starting a 6-week workout challenge. And like, I literally had me and God every day, like, look, I don't want to do this. I genuinely do not like doing this, but this is one goal that I really want to accomplish, right? And it was for 6 weeks. Every day you do these workouts. I'm proud to say I completed those 6 weeks, right? Which is the first workout challenge I have ever done. I lost 8 pounds, so to put it out there. But I think what I am learning that is like, I'm so used to having goals around things that I want to do. So then I'm naturally more motivated to do them because they're what on my list. But like being able to accomplish something that truly wasn't at the top of my priority list, it just allowed me to be like more vulnerable, I want to say, with God, and allowed me to now, like when I look at my goals, it's like, if I can do this and it didn't really motivate me, and it's because I only know it's because I included you and you helped me with this. You helped me break down, okay, today we're doing this. Okay, you know what? Your body needs to do this. Monkeypox breaking out. I can't go to the gym. Okay, how are we going to do this? It's still a priority. It's still a goal. I want to get it done. So now you got to move like this. Whereas I'm very emotional typically. And if I don't feel like doing something, I'm not going to do it. You can't talk me into doing something I don't want to do. But that is a problem because it also applies that spiritually. Like when God says, do this, I'm like, okay, I hear you, yeah, but I don't want to do it right now. So I'm going to do it when I feel like it, which is so arrogant, and like, it's funny how 6 weeks of working out, like, has just like opened my mind to like, you really are lazy spiritually. Like, yeah, you know the word. Like, I'm not saying like, I didn't expect me to like, I didn't expect it to like hem me up like this. So even the fact when Lauren said, oh, we're going to talk about goals, I was never going to talk about this ever. But God has literally been like, you know what? The goal I have for you will feed you spiritually, will help in, like Ayana, you mentioned it before, to open up other ways where you're like, oh, I could be more productive here. Like I literally wake up early. I'm going to work on time. All this because I want to fit working out into my schedule.
Now wait a minute. Let me get this straight. You working out in the morning time?
Whatever I got to do to get it done. Like as an example, we discussed, just ladies and gentlemen, what time we wanted to record. I specifically had to be like, okay, you know what? It got to be after 8 because I got to work out. Because if I get home at 6, if I cook and go get me some food, spend time with my mama, I only got 15 minutes and we got to record. So I had to literally tell y'all, no, I have to do 8, which has never happened before. But because I was able to prioritize that and look at it a different way, you learn what's more of a priority. So my goals now are just being like, okay, God, what are we doing? I don't have a goal. What do you want me to do? I'm gonna try to work towards. But I don't have no goals. And I will say, it's still early. The year isn't over with. And if he can do that in 6 weeks, who knows what you got a product business by the end of October. Like whatever God want to do, he gonna do.
Okay.
You better say that,
it.
Denise, because I was literally thinking the same thing.
I
I was like, it's just August. It is just August.
And I may not have been ready yet. And I think that that's what I've been understanding about even some goals. It's like there's some things that we're aspiring to work towards where God is like, oh, that's going to happen, but you're not ready for it right now. Where you're at mentally, spiritually, emotionally, you're not ready for it. And it's like a lot of the in-between stuff is you being prepared to be ready for whatever you're asking for. So like when Ayana's like, I'm working out consistently, and it may not be the specific goal that I was, wanting to achieve, but consistency is going to be needed for that goal. So
Yeah, I think
I was gonna say, yeah, Lauren, because this, how you not gonna tell us about you?
I would tell, but I think to kind of add to the conversation, because a lot of what you all have said thus far has really been reflective of like my life and kind of what I'm going through right now. And maybe I should have started this off because I know like way back in the day, we used to tell stories and then we would kind of expound on the story and talk about the lesson. And, kind of how I got to this place, just as like little short stories, I was talking to someone about the fact of like my desires of, pursuing my license, and not only one license, but it's honestly, it's like 3 of them in total. And so I was like, it's really like a goal of mine to do that. And at the time when I shared it with this particular person, they began to expound on another individual I know. And it was like, oh, this person also, and it wasn't like to distract me from what my goal or objectives were, but it was just kind of informing me of like some peers and their experience with it. And so that particular person began to tell me about a person I know and their journey into also pursuing their license, and how they kind of got overwhelmed with workload, like overwhelmed with life, and ultimately like it just ended up being something they never completed. And so as this person is explaining like in detail what this person is going through, I literally saw myself in a mirror. And for me, I was just like, I don't want to be that person. Like, I don't want to be that person that says, these are the things that I want to achieve, and I never can achieve them because, I don't put forth the effort to go after the goal. And I think for me, in all truth and honesty, I had not really put forth that effort. Like, in all truth and transparency, I took my first class for one of my certifications over the first summer. They call it first summer and second summer. So I took it over the first summer, and like my friends was laughing because like I would literally be in a text like, y'all, I just failed this exam, straight F. And the funny thing was, and I would tell my parents too, I was like, yeah, I just failed an exam. It's okay. I just failed it. And my parents, they're used to me doing really, really well in like school and stuff like that. And so my parents would tell me like, oh, Lauren, are you gonna fail the class? Like, is that like, because you're talking about it so like just freely. And I was like, no, I'm not failing the class. But like when we talk about God's grace and things like that, because I had done what I was supposed to do in other areas, I still finished the course with a B. So meaning I still passed the course, even with me failing the course. And so, but in all of that, I realized that I was failing the test, not failing the course, but failing the test. I was failing the test because I wasn't putting forth the effort to study for the test. Right? Because I had other things that was distracting me. Social media was one. Just, I at that time I was hopping on a plane, whatever I felt like it to go see my friends. And probably, I still want to do that. Just I need to balance it better. And, I was prioritizing other things, with me being in Florida now, I'm definitely more accessible to like, certain individuals. So of course I want to hang out with them and do certain things. And in that moment, when that person shared with me about my peer and their journey, like I said, and I saw myself, I was like, sis, that's about to be you if you don't get this stuff together. And so I remember one day, literally just sitting in my bed. I don't watch TV. Coincidentally, I do not watch TV, but I'm always on social media. And one day I looked up, it was like 8:00. I had started scrolling. Next minute I know, I look at my clock, it's 12 midnight. And I had been scrolling from 8 to 12. And in that instance, I knew, I said, sis, you're on social media for 4 hours. It's so much you could be doing within a 4-hour period than being on social media. And so that's when I realized, like, God literally gave me an awakening, like, you know, of course, off and on, but ultimately 4 hours. But I was just like, God gave me an awakening in that moment. And he was just like, that's your greatest distraction. Like, that's why you can't get stuff done, is because, believe it or not, just frivolously picking up my phone here and there to just scroll. Because I ain't posting, like you can see, I ain't posting, but like to just scroll and like literally accomplishes nothing concerning my life. And so God, this week, actually, God had told me, he said, put social media down, no more social media. And so he does allow for me to do Pinterest, but I don't consider Pinterest social media. I consider it a research platform. So
It's a creative space. I think
Yeah,
it is a
it's
bit.
like Google.
right, exactly.
Well,
So I
I
still
It's
do
mean,
social
Pinterest.
media for her too. She like the
it's not
style and
Google.
do all this. She could still be scrolling for hours, but okay.
But I don't. I use Pinterest a lot concerning work, believe it or not. But so
But it ain't
and
Google.
huh?
I said it's not a Google.
It's a search engine platform.
Yeah,
That's
it's not a
true.
Google,
Yeah.
But
because
you
I
be
think
creating
like,
boards and stuff though, right?
no, I don't. I don't. No, I have boards already like pre-existing.
That's why I
So the
said
way,
search engine.
yeah,
Like,
it is. So like
Okay.
the way my boards are set up, I can go to a picture I pinned like 2 years ago, and the reference images
mm-hmm.
below usually applies to what I'm looking for.
Yep.
So it works. And so I started like, you know, I still had my release, but it wasn't me like being on Instagram or TikTok. It's really TikTok for me. Like TikTok is terrible in that aspect. So literally, like, that's why I was like, when you was like, oh, what we want to talk about, I was like, oh my God, I want to talk about goals. Because for me, I realized like developing a discipline or even a awakening and a knowledge of your daily routine and how that plays a major part in, you know, achieving your goals or not achieving your goals. For me, it's like a huge thing. And so I love when, like, Denisa, you were kind of sharing your story. I felt like there were portions of it that like really spoke to me as well. And then like it was something too Ayana said, where she was like, you know, I had to tell myself it's okay if I don't achieve the goal. Honestly, I've been telling myself it's okay that I don't achieve the goal for a long time. It's no longer okay. The
At least you know
okay,
yourself enough to know that you can't.
Yeah.
You know that's not a grace you can
right?
give
I
yourself.
can't,
Because when
right?
I
Because when I
said
failed that test, I was like, it's okay.
nah, when I said I'm talking about that day. Like, okay, I didn't do it today,
Right,
but I'm gonna do it tomorrow.
right. But
Now
like,
wait a minute now, Lauren. Now wait a minute. I
She
mean,
looking like let's not.
it's, but for me, I'm just like, it's no longer okay.
Let's circle back to this one pin right there. So when you say it's no longer okay, you're saying like you realize that you've done this a lot.
I have,
And
yes.
it's just rolling, snowballing.
It was okay for at least 2 years.
Ooh, yes. Okay.
Like, it's okay, God, I'll get to it. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
I
And
relate
I'm
to
just to the
that.
point.
I do. I
Right.
relate. I use the pandemic as an excuse too. Like God, you see what we're going through. You know.
Yeah, it's okay. It's at this point, it's really not okay. Either you're gonna do it or not. But
Right.
like, to Denise's point, I think what really helps, and it's so crazy, is like what really helps is starting off with a small goal.
Yeah.
And so like how Denise was sharing with the fact how she did her 6-week program with working out. For me, it was this week not being on, and to show you how, you know, early I'm into this thing. This week I did not do social media. But also last week, I told myself, and this is also something that I had told myself, I'm no longer waiting on people. Like, I'm no longer waiting for someone to give me an answer to achieve the goal. Like, there's more than that resource to provide an answer or to provide a resource
That's
for
good.
me. And so I even started off with a small goal with that. Was I told myself, like, I'm with my parents. And so I said, I'm building myself a closet. Like, I'm looking at my space. And, you know, I used to take pride when I was in Atlanta. I used to take pride in my space. I love the way my space felt. I love the way my space looked, how it made me feel. And to be honest, since I've relocated back to Florida temporarily, it just hasn't been that for me. And so I said, I want to get to a place now where even my space reflects my mindset. Right. And so I said, I'm not going to wait on my parents, you know, or even the resource of them having a car for me to pick up all these different wood pieces to build this furniture piece. So I said, girl, you got it. You got the resources to do it. And sure enough, me in my car, I took my measuring tape, did some measurements. I had to fold down every seat but the driver's seat. I had to ask people within the store to help me carry things from the store to my car, but I got it done. And then even when I got to the house, I had asked my father to like help me. He was a little slow in getting that done. And so I said, you know what? The joy of the Lord will be my strength. So I literally
You was
like
carrying wood, Lauren.
Yes. Not only did I carry wood,
If
I
you
asked
know
my dad for
Lauren, then you will understand why this is very important. Because Lauren in the manual labor situation.
Exactly. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So, but I did. I
I'm
not
proud
only
of
carried the
you.
wood, I had got me a hammer, some nails, a drill, and I put together the first portion of the closet. And the only reason I didn't put together the second portion is because they had to mail it to me. So they mailed it to me Wednesday, and that's what I'm gonna do this weekend. I will put together the second portion. And I just told myself, I said, no longer am I gonna give myself an excuse to wait on people to get it done. Because if you're telling yourself to wait on someone, you're gonna always be waiting on someone. Oh, and I've realized that. And last thing before I let us continue to talk, last thing I told myself too is give an answer quickly. Like, just give yourself an answer quickly. Don't sit there and ponder on it like, well, maybe I can do this. Well, maybe I can. No, be decisive. Say, we're going to do this. And if something happens where you can no longer do that, be quick to respond or be quick to change it so that you can continue going on in the path. So I'm telling myself these things because I said, Lauren, you got to build momentum. Because telling yourself it's okay, telling yourself, oh, we'll get back to it, that was a slow pace. And at this point in your life, sis, you need to speed it up. You need to get it cranking. And so these are just rules that I'm giving myself concerning my goals.
I love that. I'm so proud of you that you were like, you're on it.
I'm trying.
You give it
a new Lauren, honey.
This is. I'm shooketh. I'm like, who is this? But I feel like, Lauren, that's inspiring to me because I'm at the space where it's like, I haven't met my goals yet and it's okay. But I also feel like I'm achieving, different things that are needed to get there. But even hearing you say what you said makes me feel encouraged that once I get to that point, those are tools that I can use to like knock it out the park. So
yeah. And you know what, to be honest, like I'm just gonna use this closet for example. There were parts that I put together on this closet that was not right, but I was able to fix it and get it right. And then I told my mom, I said, the crazy thing is when you get in the habit of just doing, even if it's not right the first time and you immediately go back to correct the wrong and make it right, you'll look up and it'll be 2 days later and you'll say, dang, I did all this over the weekend. I did all this. Literally, like I'm looking at my space and my space is not even done. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, girl, you made some major ground over just 2 days. Over a 2-day weekend, you were able to do so much more. And the crazy thing was because I had built that momentum, it carried over into my week. Like I really felt like my coworkers were tired of me this week because I was like, I'm done. Y'all gonna send me something else? I'm done. I started checking their emails. Girl, I just saw so-and-so email me. You want me to get to that? Because it was just like, at that point in time, I just had already like, I don't know, my body was just, to Ayana's point with her and her Peloton, it's like, I bet now Ayana probably wakes up intuitively without an alarm early in the morning because your body is just conditioned now to doing it,
But it's also, Lauren, like your train of thought. Because like as I'm listening to you, I had the same conversation with some of my peers this past week. The past 2 weeks actually has been like that, where, instead of waiting for somebody to give me an answer, especially if somebody's out, I'm already looking at other things, and although those other things may not work, guess what happened? After we completed that step, what I had looked into, I was ahead, right? I was ahead. So when we got to the next step, everybody's still waiting on somebody else. I'm like, nope, we can do this. And they're like, how you know? I got it wrong last week. But because I got it wrong and I did something, I'm prepared this week. So we don't got to wait on somebody else for an answer. So absolutely, I completely 100% seen that in my life as well. We ain't waiting. Like what we need. Okay, let's do it. Let's figure this out.
I think the crazy thing is, like, we think a lot of times goals are those like those milestones or those marks that we get to. But I've come to realize that really goals are a mindset. It's really like once you've conditioned yourself with the mindset to achieve the goal is a product of the mindset. Like we oftentimes think of the goal as like the object, but to be honest, when you think of people who have done amazing things or who have really broken some barriers, they reposition their mindset first. And because the mindset was repositioned, then the goal was a byproduct of that. And so I really felt like once God kind of like got me to that place, you know, where he was like, sis, your mind just not, it ain't where it need to be right now. Then I was able to really kind of just readjust, renew my mind, to Ayana's point, and just kind of move forward.
I love that.
That
Yeah, that was so good. You and Denise. One of the things that you said that I was about to say was triggering for me, but that's not the right word. That hit home for me was this idea of like the mindset shift, in that it seems like once you have that, then all of the other things come after that. And it makes me feel like maybe I am in a good space, because I do feel like in this season, I have a bunch of mindset shifts, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to achieving things, one of the things that I'll throw out there for the listeners is, in order to be focused, for me, I found it's very important to know when to say no. And I think that the hardest thing in achieving my goals has been being a part of achieving somebody else's goals that God never told me that I should go and help them achieve in the first place. And I feel like in this season, I am becoming good at saying no. And I feel like once upon a time when I said no, I would feel bad and I would just hope that people didn't think of me a certain way and all of these things. But I feel like now, and Denise is so good at this, she said this before, like saying no without giving an explanation, that I'm getting better at that. Like that is a mindset shift too, that sometimes when you're trying to achieve something for yourself, it requires you to not pick up everything that everybody else is trying to hand off to you as well. So
yeah, I think to add to that, like if we were to give it like a metaphor or like a figure of speech, I think really too, like goals is about the right yeses and the right nos.
yeah,
like, you know,
for sure.
Right, because I say all these positive things about, oh, this is what I did over the weekend, but one thing that I did do that I was like, ooh, I ain't gonna lie, it kind of stung a little bit, was I spent a lot of money this past weekend, a lot of money. But I was like, I had to do that. I had to spend all that money in order to get the goal done, you know, or to even adjust the mindset for me. And I think sometimes us as individuals, when we see some of the assets that we already have, a lot of times we are afraid to use them, or the resources that we already have. Sometimes we're afraid to use them, with the thought of, honestly, kind of fear of saying, am I doing this prematurely? Like, should I not, like for my instance, I'm gonna use the money thing. Should I not spend this amount of money? Because I don't know, something may come up and I could use that money. But the crazy thing is like, I'm come to the point where I'm like, just like God provided the money for me in the beginning, he'll provide it again, you know, if I need it. But at this moment in time, I need to spend this money to get it done. So like you're saying, how you were telling people no, I had to tell myself in that moment, yes, swipe the card.
I love
so true.
And not to be deep, but like Sade, as you were talking, literally what I heard, I see myself again. And this episode isn't about me, but I love whenever you guys speak and I see myself, you know, being able to, you know, say no to my flesh and to not want to work out. In my mind, it's like, okay, I'm gonna give God a yes. So for you, even still, like every no that you tell someone when you know that that's not something you should be engaged in, involved in, you're now rested and prepared for when God says something to be like, yes. And not to be like, Lord, I'm tired, but yes. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's just prioritizing his yes over, you know, how somebody feels about your no.
Yeah.
I love that. Because what you just said was your attitude is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
Like, this is an old statement that says, like, a bad attitude is like a bad tire. It won't get you nowhere unless you change it. Like that used to be an old little quote I heard.
It sound like somebody old said that.
Sounds like in the schoolhouse, you know.
It
Right,
do. It's
right.
it's giving 60s, 70s.
Well, I used to hear it all the time, but you're absolutely, I mean, it was an old saying, but it's right. Like
It
if you
is.
have a terrible attitude about something, you ain't gonna get far.
No, you're not.
But once
You're
the
not.
attitude is like positive, you know, then you rolling.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, to Denise's point, you know, because she was like, not to be super deep, but I mean, that's so true. And I feel like a lot of times with whatever goals you have, Denise started off by saying, like, I want to be led by God. Like, whatever it is that I'm trying to achieve, let it be in alignment with God's good and perfect will for my life. Let it be something that God wants me to achieve. And I feel like if that's the case, then God will lead and guide you in your no's and your yeses. If that's the thing that's leading and guiding you, then God will also let you know, like, it's okay to say, okay, I didn't do this, but I'm growing in this area so that when I get to that achievement, I will be prepared for it. And I think that that's beautiful. Like, you really have to keep God in the center and in the midst of it, because if you don't, you'll be out here doing what your flesh wants to do, saying yes and no based on your flesh or your fear. Because that was the other thing that I heard when Lauren was talking, when it's like, do I need to swipe this card? It's like a fear of like, am I going to run out if I just, you know, keep swiping this card? But it's like, no, like, I'm never in fear of running out. I'm always in faith of running over, because this
That's
is what,
good.
what God told me to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like poetry. Rewind. Say that again.
I'm never in fear of running out. I'm always in faith of running over.
That is so good.
Yeah. Love
Quote
it.
that. That is so good.
Amen. Let me
Look,
write it,
I'm gonna
'cause I
need
ain't
you to
gonna
do one of them
remember it.
videos, Sade.
Right.
Tell
You
the
know
people.
how I know?
Y'all
Tell
are
the people
great.
about that one. That's a good one.
The crazy thing is, like, even where that's concerned, I feel like there was a part of me that was like stuck on just like doing whatever God told me to do. And I mean, I feel like I'm just coming back into myself. What's that meme or that I don't know if it's a TikTok or what that's out, where it's like, I feel like I'm just getting back to who I am. Like, I'm just getting back to myself. Like, I literally feel like that. And I feel better. Like, I'll be super transparent. Maybe like the week before I went out of town for that work trip that you guys know about, somebody reached out to me that we go to church with and was like, hey, I have this project. It's going to be X, Y, and Z. They wanted me to like producer direct, almost like something like we do. So like a podcast situation where it will also be video, and they had a videographer and all of these people who were involved. And then they gave me like the ticket that they wanted to pay me. And it was like, oh, that is a very nice ticket that is on what it is that you are asking me to do. I could definitely do some things with that. Christmas is coming up at the end of the year, and it's giving all of everybody's gifts. And we met. I went home, and God was like, no. And I was like, but why, God? And it was like almost as if God began to like remind me of all of the goals and all of the things that he wanted me to achieve that are already in the works, or that he's already gave me clarity that these are my things. And I was like, oh God, okay, but this would be easy for me to do. And this is an increase. That's of the Lord, right? And it was a very strong no. And I literally like was having like trouble sleeping. It was keeping me up at night. I started thinking about just different projects that I've worked on when I know God was like, no, this is not your job to do. And that feeling of like being involved and having to show up and having to be on calls and having to schedule time and getting in my car and going somewhere that I know in my spirit I ain't supposed to be there. And so I ended up reaching out to the person, and I was like, hey, while I truly appreciate this opportunity, as of right now, I do not have the time to adequately supply so that this will be a success. And in the natural, that would not be true, because baby, I got all the time in the world. I don't have no extracurriculars right now. I'm not on nobody's contracts right now. In my mind, in the natural, it's like I have all the time in the world. But in the spirit, it's like God is letting me know, like, no, there are things that you're going to need to be able to do. And if you give this a yes, then the real goal, the real thing that you're supposed to achieve is you're not gonna be available to say yes to. And so I feel like it's important to mention as well that, you know, just going back to being in tune with the spirit and being in tune with understanding that when you take on a goal that's not a goal from God, you do yourself a disservice. I was rapping, I'm sorry.
No, I love what you said, because for me, what I took from that is that you said the main goal, like goal number one, should always be relationship between you and God. And then that fosters whatever goal that comes after that. Because I would say, you know, just kind of reflecting on my life and my experiences, like when the relationship altered between me and God, meaning I wasn't as consistent with reading my word or wasn't consistent in prayer and conversation, then other things started to decline also, and quickly. You know, it wasn't like something that, you know, you just, for me, it was quickly. Like I saw a major difference. And I crazy thing was, I thanked God the other day. I said, God, thank you that I thirst for you. Like I'm to a point where I feel when I'm dehydrated from you. Like, thank you for that, because there used to be parts of me, or there used to be a time in my life where that didn't happen, where I wouldn't spend time with God and I wouldn't feel a difference, you know. But now I've gotten to a place now where I literally feel the deficiency between me and him. And I feel like I need to pick up my word. I need to read. I need to, you know, we need to spend some time, some QT time together. And I verbatim remember thanking God, you know, for that place. But that's what you just said, Sade, that's what that put me in mindset of. It's like the goal before you go after anything that even God has laid on your heart, like the things that you know he's told you to do, always make goal number one the relationship, because literally the relationship guides you to wherever. It's the map quest. It's the map quest to where it's the Siri, it's the hey Siri for wherever else you need to do in life. So that's just a huge reminder for me. So I thank you for that, for sure.
Amen. I have truly enjoyed this episode. I feel inspired.
Right.
Ayana,
Go get your goals, girl.
Girl, I'm gonna go get my goals. I'm gonna go get my goals. Ayana, did you have anything to add?
So about these accomplishments, that's what the next one.
Or is you proud of it? You proud of this, Ayana?
I am very proud of everyone. I'm inspired too. I really especially love what Lauren said, because that's what I was thinking throughout the latter of the conversation, was honestly following the Holy Spirit when it comes to everything. I know for me, in these past few months, my focus every morning has been, when I get up and pray, I'm like, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do today? How do you want me to focus? Like, I literally give everything to him. I give my workout to him. I'm like, I'm thankful that I'm able to get up and move and breathe, and I can freely do what I need to do. All right, so after I work out, after we get these kids up, what are you having me to do today? And that's how I've been able to really just knock out the small bites and just go from there. So really seeking the Holy Spirit and everything, that's it, man. Like, that's how you're gonna get it done, because we always trying to do what we want to do. And like Sade said, he will knock you off your feet, like, don't do that. So yeah, follow the Holy Spirit.
Knock you off your feet.
Oh my God.
So, but I really enjoyed this conversation. I do pray that everyone was blessed by it, and you know, they appreciate our transparency. Lauren, I'm so proud of you.
Girl, you built a closet.
So proud of it.
I know, right?
I know your parents are, you know what your parents see? Equity. They
told me, they said, baby, this ain't enough closet though. You're gonna need to buy some more.
Not them coming for your closet.
Right. And my mom was like, oh, I see you know how to do it. You can do mine.
Right.
What? No, ma'am.
What she said, Sade, the Lord told me no.
No.
The Lord told me no. The Lord told me no.
Or not right now.
Not right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, not right now.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. We hope that So About These Goals was a blessing to your soul as much as it was to ours. If this is your first episode, be sure that you connect with us. Follow us on all social media platforms at Save Girl Secrets on Instagram and Facebook, at Save Girl Secret, no S, on Twitter. If you want to continue this conversation, feel free to send us a secret letter to savegirlsecrets@gmail.com. Please check out all of our other episodes. We are literally like over 150 episodes in the game. It's
Mm.
we
So
is
we
deep
got
in these-
something. We got something for
We got-
We
everybody.
OGs now.
we
we
deep in
OGs.
these podcast streets, okay?
Yeah.
Deep. So we love you. Good God